Facebook page and my Twitter page, and through some other sites, I've had a lot of people ask me about my drum kit and what I use and why I play the way I play and what the drums are. This is a Apex birch kit. The color's called Transparent Sapphire. So a little bit about the drums. They're all birch, and so the sizes are something that I particularly wanted. And this was a built-to-order kit, meaning you have to buy each drum individually to get it. So I'll give you a start. This is an 8x7. I have an 8x8, 8x10, 9x12. The snare is a 5.5x14. It is birch as well. I have a 14x14 here. The second floor tom is a 16x16, and then mounted in the back here is an 18x18. It's actually a floor tom that I mounted as a rack tom. And also the kick drum is an 18x20. So if you want to know what kind of sticks I use ProMark drumsticks, and I use the natural stick where there's no finish on them at all. And I do play the 747s, and I like the not the wood tips better. The nylon tips are too blinky and too just, I don't know, they split really easy, a lot faster than the wood does. And I've been using these for a long time. I've just something that the person that showed me how to do a lot of the stuff on the drum kit played with those sticks all the time, so I got used to them and I really liked them, because with the finish they slip out of your hands, it's hot, whatever. These you don't have to worry about that. Also, the difference in drum heads. I use Aquarian drum heads, and I swear by their drum heads because I never have any problems when I want to play, because their heads are really good. They're durable, especially on snare and kick drum, because I have a really hard hit when I hit the snare. I mean, I can play light, but there's times, you know, you get excited and you just start slamming them. Well, that happens frequently for me. But and even on my bass drum is a double pedal, and I'll kind of give you an insight. All the cymbals I have on the kit are all Zildjian cymbals. I use a lot of A custom cymbals. So I'll give you the rundown. These are 13 hi-hats here, 14 hi-hats here. They're both A custom 20 ride. This is a 16, 17, 16, 18, and then over here I have the 18 Oriental trash and the 12 Oriental trash, and the one here is a 12-inch splash, A custom splash. And just for accenting different purposes, the reason I opened up the kit more to play-wise was when you're playing like this, you're kind of limited, you know, what you can do almost with your hands. So with having two hi-hats, that opened it up for me to be able to play a lot more open-handed stuff. One of the first things I want to touch on is just back to basics a little bit. You know, the most important part of playing is really learning your rudiments and learning your paradiddles and your combination. You know, your rudiments and your paradiddles is really a combination of singles and doubles. And one of the main things that you really should pay attention to is how you hold the drumsticks. You want to find this called the sweet spot of the stick. And what I mean by that is, if you put the head, if you go like this, it's just, if you play it too far forward, it dies. If you hold it too far back, it'll bounce, but it jumps too much. So what you want to do is where it starts with the letter T there for the, you put one thumb there, and then you come back with one thumb. So you make 1, 2, and you should be able to lay the stick in these two fingers, just like this, like this. These fingers are out of the way, these fingers are bent, and move the stick freely. If the stick doesn't want to bounce, you're going to have a lot of problems, because that's the important stuff of playing, is counting the different bounces. And then when you start getting into watching Peart and whoever, if you're watching him or you're watching Dave Weckl, Steve Gadd, Peter Erskine, all those kind of guys that play and have been playing for years, and that's what they practice, is their rudiments and stuff, and they're really fast at it. And that's why, because it takes a lot of finger control. But if this stick doesn't want to bounce, you're going to have problems. If you're right-handed, whatever goes for the right hand goes for the left hand. whether you're playing traditional grip. If you are, you're holding the stick in this manner here, like this. And just so you know, these two fingers at the bottom have nothing to do with that at all. They have nothing to do with the method. So if you want to learn how to do that, your best bet is to, if this is the snare, is to palm it down, not palm up, palm down, and learn how to get these two fingers here control the bounce. And once you get that bounce nice and steady, then you can flip it over to the playing position. So I'm going to back up just a little bit. What I meant by the sweet spot of the stick is this: if the stick doesn't want to bounce, you're going to have problems. In order to do the single stroke roll, they need to be smooth and even. Everything should be even. So it would sound like this. It would be in that manner. And I had the throw off on there, so it would be a little quieter, but it would be. If you want to do a double stroke roll, you have to pay attention to the second bounce and snap the stick. I use a pull and to snap, kind of snapping the stick back into my hand kind of thing. And I learned that a long time ago from Dave Wackel, and learned how to do the traditional grip from him. And watching Peart play a lot and slowing it down so I could actually see what he was doing. And then going back and just watching it over and over again until it got it drilled into my mind how he was doing certain things. But you got to pay attention to that second bounce. If the stick doesn't want to bounce, you're going to have issues. Take a look at your fingers. If you're playing and something doesn't sound right, take a look at your fingers. The flat part of the thumb never leaves the stick. It never goes over here or goes over here, because when you do that, you lose the fulcrum, which is in the wrist and the fingers in your arm, to give it the strength to do what you need to do. So if you're playing along and something doesn't sound right, take a look at your hands. Hand positioning and keeping the stick, the flat part of your thumb on the stick, means an awful lot. And it's real important that you learn at least a single stroke roll, double stroke roll, triple paradiddle, or you do triple paradiddle, and flams, buzz roll. They're all different things that you want to learn because they'll help you later on in life. They'll help you as you develop. One of the other things, a great thing to learn would be a 5-stroke roll, 9-stroke roll, a 5, a 7, a 9, and it goes on and on and on. There's over 400 and some rudiments in the jazz rhythmic books that are out there. So many different ones, and there's so many different variations that you can do. You can make up your own, really, if you wanted to. So whatever you want to do. But if you want to do the double paradiddle, pay attention to the second bounce. So it sounds like that in that manner. You want to do triple paradiddle, same thing. Pay attention to the third bounce. So you have an idea what they sound like. A flam, one stick is higher than the other. It's going to be hard to make them flam. And you can do on the flam you can do and here, so you can go. And it sounds like there's a lot happening, but there really isn't. Or you can do a buzz roll, which if you play it dead center, you'd hear it more. But if you play it where the head is tightest, is by the lugs here. You want it smooth. You want to get this you want to get really smooth. Any other time you're playing, your hand should kind of have an opening here and an opening between here. Well, it's not an open when you're doing that because you're pressing down the stick into the head. And it's how many bounces you can get out of the stick. So it would sound like this. So when you take your time and learn it, start out slow until you can build it up. And actually, so I'll just go ahead and give you that demonstration. So you would start as... sound like that, and it's real smooth and it's real easy. But now if you were to play it here dead center, it would sound like this. And you can hear actual bounces, and it's more definite here. But you wouldn't want to use a we want to use this in a contemporary setting, and for a simple reason is when you have to keep in time and play in time, you want to be able to stay in time. I mean, it's too hard to do a buzz roll in a contemporary setting because it's too open. So if you were to play it, you'd have to play it either at the 16th note, or you could do it as 8th notes, or however you want to count it. It's up to you. You just have to learn how to do the different things you want to do. Some of the other questions that I got was, how do I do the hi-hat with the chops? And I always use the chop with the bass drum as a like one and. So to get the sound, it's really, you just lift the stick up, you lift up this, and then once you get past that, it's... And you can do it as fast as you want to do it, you know, whatever. Also, you want to learn how to do some syncopated rhythms so that you're not playing the same beat all the time, which is instead of playing. You know what I'm saying? Like, do your chops and your hits and whatever, and keep going. Another fairly easy thing to do, which is a down bottom roll, it's just three things. It's left, right foot, left, right foot. And if you play double bass like I do, then you can throw the double pedal into that, and it makes it sound like there's so much more happening. And you can add different drums in, and it gives it a really cool texture. And it's something that it just takes time. Everybody that plays or wants to play drums or has started to learn how to play drums either started with paradiddles or in rudiments, or listened to something and watched somebody else show how to do this or that and picked up on it and was able to go from there. But for the majority of people, a lot of people take lessons, and it's really tedious to do because you're expected to know every little if and cranny, and rock and pop, it kind of really doesn't matter because you're really playing, you know, it matters in a sense of coming through the toms and doing, you know, tom work and stuff like that. But when you're just doing a straight 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's not that hard at all. It's the easiest thing you can do, and anybody can do that, and should be able to do it if you've been playing long enough. So the down bottom roll is just, you know, everybody asks how to do it all the time. It's left, right. Or you can do it with the double pedal. If you want to use the double pedal and do, you can go. So it really depends on what you want to do, but The next part of this would be learning how to do the crossover, the cross sticking. Peart uses this a lot, and really Gene Krupa, Frank Zappa, Buddy Rich, all those kind of guys are the guys that really created all that. But you can do it a couple of different ways. You can. It's a 16th note count, so it would be felt as 1 E 2 E 3 E 4 1 E 2 E 3 E 4 So it's the same. I have a hard time playing it slower than I do faster because I'm used to playing it a little more faster speeds. So kind of improvise a little bit and show what I mean. So it's just so you know, it's 1 E 2 E 3 E 4 E. You got to remember to get this hand back out of the way. So it's kind of a what it would sound like if you were going to play it like that. Also the ride, so we'll move over to the ride a little bit. The bell is felt as 8th notes, so it would be counted as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can play between here, middle of the bell, and right into here. You can keep that. You kind of jig back and forth, and a lot of guys do that when they're playing different songs, and it just makes it sound like there's a lot more happening on the rides than it really is. It kind of just gives it that cool sense. And make sure when you hit your cymbals, you swing them. If you just hit them and they hit right here in the line, you're more likely to crack them and go up the bell, and I've done that many times. China, hit it on the flat part of the. I'm going to spin it or hit it backwards, but spin it when you hit it so that it spins. Stick rides, always do it over a lug. Do it over a lug, it's where the drum head is the tightest. And the reason I have the block here is in case I'm playing something and I need this isn't strong enough, and it sounds pretty close to the stick ride, pretty close. It's not right dead even, but it stays in there kind of in that manner. I have two different cowbells. One is, this is an old rock cowbell here, and it's beat up and banged up and it's been abused. This one here is just a regular rock. And you can do your same thing if you do a count. If you do your count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, and you can do the same thing, or you go all through the times do the same thing. So this kit is pretty much most of it's brand new. A lot of new stands, a lot of new cymbals, different things I added in. But that's the basics of playing drums, and so pay attention to what other people are doing. If you're out somewhere and you see somebody playing something and you don't know how to play it, and you get an opportunity, go up and talk to the person playing and ask them, hey man, can I ask you a question? How did you do that? And lots of them will be like, yeah, no problem. Like when I wanted to know how to do a 5-stroke roll. 5-stroke roll is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it can be felt either way. You can do it left-handed, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can do a 7-stroke roll is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then once you get good at it, you don't have to do the count along with it. You can just do it mentally. A 9-stroke roll is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then you can use that during the toms and floor, and do a lot of different things. So, to give you an idea, the 8x7s. So everything is that is what basically I play pretty hard and I hit pretty hard. So I do a lot of different things. So the other thing that somebody asked me about the other day was how I came up with I use the snare and either crash or a china with a double bass flam, and I use that a lot sometimes to accent certain parts of a song or something I'm doing. So in a manner, it would be when you do the flam on your feet, it should be just like as if you were playing it on top, which would be, well, now it's the same thing on the feet. Sound like, but then if you throw that with the double, that's what it sound like when you hit it, and you're getting that speed that you're looking for. You're looking for a certain speed. So if you were to that's what it sounds like. There's just so many other variations and different things you can do. Like for instance, the song by Metallica 1, the double bass part that Lars plays in there is it's called 6, the number 6 triplets. And what he does is 3 on his right leg and 3 on the left leg. So it gives the manner of, if you were to play like him and you know how the song goes, you would be. That's what it would sound like if you were going to play that in the double bass form. That's what it would sound like. So you just start out slowly and, you know, learn each part and then go from there. Be the best way to learn it. People that like myself that have been playing for a long time, we tend to do things and we don't think about what we're doing. And I always found for me, when I really wanted to do something and I was thinking about it, it never happened. But when I would forget about it and I'd be playing something, all of a sudden it would just happen. I'd be like, whoa, it blew me away. That kind of, like, you know, it automatically comes natural after a while. So whether you're going to play match grip or, you know, traditional grip, whatever you're doing, stick-wise, there's no easier way to do it because you're going to be doing so much different stuff and hitting stuff and playing around. But it's fun to learn both and learn how to do everything as much as you can. Learn to play pop, rock, jazz, blues, whatever. Anything that you get your hands on. Because, you know, it's important, and someday, you know, if you're out playing in a band and you need that, then you have the skill to play that and you don't have to worry about being told you need to go home and practice, you know what I mean, or something. So, hopefully this is kind of a little bit of information about how to play, why, and certain things I use, different things to help me go through the whole song or whatever. But hopefully this was you're able to pick up on some stuff here that I touched on, and maybe it'll help you out somehow. If you have any other questions or you want to know anything else, how to play certain other things, you can look me up on here at the YouTube page here, and I'll be more than happy to try and help you out as best as I can. So thanks for stopping by and checking out my video, and